Hello everyone. So welcome to the session on doubt session for geography optional. So we will be starting within a minute or so. By the time all of you get connected to us, so you can send in your questions, right? So we'll be trying to reply most of the questions that you ask, right? So let us start the session, and by the time all of you get connected, see, we launched this batch in the month of January, geography optionals, and we were encouraged by the kind of response we got, and thanks to all of you. And now the next session, next batch is starting from 27th of April, and we hope the same response here as well, right? So far what we discussed in, like, you have the geography optional syllabus with you, you have the schedule with you, we have already provided that. Besides that, we also have the class material, the reading material with you. This is our second doubt session with all of you. In the classes, we are trying to make sure that geography becomes easy to all of you. It's not that geography is only for a particular type of students who have a particular background. Geography is open for everyone. Anyone can take geography optional, irrespective of the academic background that you have. And also, because there are a lot of aspects that we should be looking at here. It includes your conceptual clarity, it is a very bulky subject, and so on, right? So here in this session we'll be focusing upon all these things. And so far the batch is running online, right? So hopefully things get better, pandemic situations, right? We come out of it, and then we can plan something else. But given given conditions, it is very difficult to launch these offline batches, right? So we wish that all of you remain safe, and you can send in your questions now, all right? And let's see how many of you have doubts and what are the problems that you're facing while reading geography. And we had already suggested book list is with you. It is there on our website. The book list is mainly for physical geography, human geography, economic geography, Indian geography. And out of that, we have suggested, like, physical geography, Savindra Singh and D.R. Khuller. We have suggested for human geography, Rupa publication book, or Majid Hussain Sir's book, Models in Geography. Then for extra reading, there is a book for geomorphology by P. Dayal. You can refer to that for some topics, right? And especially the topics which are not mentioned in Savindra Singh, and topics like slope development, channel morphology, denudation chronology, applied geomorphology. These topics are mentioned in the other book, P. Dayal. So you can read through that book. It's a very good book. Language is very good. Then for population geography, we suggested that you can read through the books that have been suggested for human geography. Besides that, also you should be thorough with the current aspect. It's very dynamic topic. So how is demographic dividend changing for India, and how has that changed for rest of the world? We are passing through a stage of demographic transition. So how this demographic transition, demographic dividend can be related to each other, and what are the outcomes of that, how India should be preparing and looking itself in the coming times, like we have a huge labor force, right, and how to work upon that. Then we also talked about biogeography and climatology. Savinder Singh and D.R. Kuller will give you a lot of books, a lot of material for that, a lot of information for that, and we also have provided some material to all of you. So you can go through that as well. Besides that, class notes and class discussion is always important. And then we completed biogeography, right, the biogeography that we had covered, right, and then now it will be about economic geography, and then we'll refer to settlement geography, and then paper 2, Indian geography. So which will be useful for your optionals also, right, which will be useful for your general studies and other aspects, other dimensions of general studies also, because when we talk about geography, it is also about environment, ecology, the topic infrastructure that is mentioned in your general studies paper 3. It is about agriculture, it is about cultural setting, it is about languages, tribal development, and many more contemporary issues like effects of globalization on world, topics like industrial linkages, topics like floods, droughts and disaster management, topics like India's international relations with the in relations especially with the neighboring countries, India's role in South Asia, geopolitics of Indian Ocean. So such topics will be very useful for your general studies also, right? Okay, so then a few questions have started coming in, and major hot topics for this year, PT. Well, PT, overall geography, the hot topics you can refer, or we should not use the word hot topics, because it's more important topics that we should be concerned with. And we have just had a discussion on general studies, right, doubt session on general studies, and always remember that climate change and its dynamic effect will always be an important point. Effects of climate change on agriculture, industries, even geopolitics will always be important aspect. Disasters taking place in different parts, especially floods, which have been a very major topic across the world and also in India, that will always be an important topic. Then we also have a discussion based on the water stress that is being faced in different parts of world, including India. That will be a topic. New species discussed or discovered, like reptile species and frog species were discovered last year, so that becomes important. Polar vortex is important because it has been troubling especially the polar world so much. Some theories related to, or some new discoveries related to the floods, rather droughts in India, especially the role of jet stream that has led to the droughts in India, other than El Nino. El Nino again is a topic, La Nina is a topic that will always remain important. The southern Indian Ocean dipole is very important so far as the physical geography is concerned. Then resource management has become important, especially the Arctic zone, Arctic region. It is quite important because of the fact that the Arctic Council was formed. Now we have resources which are being extracted, that especially the methane calthrate or energy resources, hydrocarbons present in and around Arctic Ocean. South China Sea issues are important. So South China regions like Partly Island, Parcel Islands, they're very important, right? Map work, China map we should do once thoroughly, especially Wuhan and what is it important for, and which are the other industrial cities of China, right? They are important. And one region that we often ignore for prelims is, like in map work, is Central America. So I would suggest that please go through the Central American countries and the water bodies surrounding the Central American countries. There is a chance that a map based question can be asked on this, right? So this is how we can focus more on the topics related to prelims. Then so far as the optional aspect is concerned, yes, there are important topics. We were discussing this, and so optional paper 2 will be very useful for your general studies as well, right, in paper 3 and some portion of that in paper 2 also, right. Anyways, it is a part of your world geography, is a part of your paper 1, so will be always important aspect, right. So another question is, Ayush discussed the methods of measuring the intensity and magnitude of earthquake. How are seismic zones demarcated? This is a 20 marks question. What points should be added? So what are the different methods measuring the intensity and magnitude of earth? See, Ayush, first of all, understand that intensity, and we have to understand what is an intensity and what is the the magnitude. Magnitude is energy and intensity is the impact. Magnitude is actually the energy emitted during an earthquake, which is a Richter scale, is a representative of energy. The Richter scale reading represents the amount of energy that has been released during an event of earthquake. So how much energy is released because during an earthquake is actually the reading on Richter scale. And we have a formula for that, which is like 10 raised power 4.8 into 10 raised power 1.5 into m, where m is the reading on Richter scale, whether 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So this is the way we calculate energy, right? Richter scale, and the highest amplitude measures energy. When Richter designed the scale, he had no other option, but he used the TNT explosion. In fact, it was to understand the impact of TNT explosion, that is trinitrotoluene explosion, dynamite explosion. So he said that one Richter scale 1 equals to around 6 to 20 kilograms of TNT explosion, and each value increases by 33 times. Each whole number values increases by 33 times. So you keep on adding like the upper scale, and then you keep on multiplying it by 33. That is the amount of energy. Although theoretically the value goes from 1 to 9, but exactly, or 0 to 9. You see, 9 is not a upper limit. Upper limit can be anything. Theoretically it is 9, but practically we do not know how much energy can be released. There is a possibility that energy can be more than 9 also, Richter scale more than 9. So this is one aspect. Second is intensity, which is measured by the Mercalli scale. Earlier it was Rosie-Farrell scale, and Mercalli scale has been designed from 1 to 12, and 1 is like few people experiencing or not experienced, people at rest experience, more people experiencing it, or the many buildings collapsing, hanging objects falling over, casualties, disasters. So the Mercalli scale will keep on reading higher values. So 1, 2, 3, 4 as the disaster and impact will keep on increasing. This is by Mercalli scale or Rosie-Farrell scale, which measures the magnitude. This is the basic aspect of this. And how are seismic zones demarcated? See, seismic zones are demarcated based on the frequency of earthquakes, right? Impact of earthquakes. Like so far as India is concerned, there are two criteria that we consider. Number 1 is the event, second is called as vulnerability. So when you look at the disaster, it is vulnerability into event. When vulnerability meets event, it becomes a disaster. So which areas are more vulnerable? So northern plains or Himalayan regions or Gujarat region or the Pacific ring of or circum-Pacific belt, the mid-continental belt, East African region, these regions are basically the vulnerable regions. Right, and frequency is also higher. So based on that, we measure, we demarcate these areas, what we call it as seismic zones. So how to handle this question? First paragraph should be earthquakes, the definition, little bit about earthquakes, that these are tremors felt on the surface of earth due to sudden release of energy. It's very difficult, or it has been an uphill task to measure the impact of the earthquake, something like in the first paragraph. Second, there are two aspects of earthquake. You write in your answer, there are two aspects of earthquake. Number 1 is the amount of energy that is released. Number 2 is the impact of earthquake. So when you talk about energy release in the earthquake, right, mention about Richter scale and mention about this formula and so on. Then the impact, you will write that the energy release does not have same impact everywhere. A Richter scale 5 can have different influence in places like Delhi, which are densely populated, and Richter scale 5 will have a different influence or different impact on a desert like Thar, which is dispersed population or sparsely populated. It is also having depended upon the kind of construction that we do, kind of buildings we have, how resistant are our buildings, and so on. So you would write that. So for that we have a Mercalli scale and give the reading of the Mercalli scale. And lastly, demarcation point. You can refer that these are the earthquake regions of world and 5 seismic zones of India, right? So this has been, they have been demarcated, and this is how it is done based on the total number of earthquakes and the location. If it is near to the plate boundary, frequency is quite high. This is how you can write. Towards the conclusion, Ayush, you can write that this conclusion can be the measures that we can take. Earthquake resistant houses can be made. Early prediction can be done. If it is possible that prediction of earthquake is possible, then we can save the lives of millions. So something like that should be the conclusion aspect, which is management, the disaster management aspect. Clear? COVID situation, Vaibhav, or in lockdown, we saw animals and birds coming in on our roads and neighborhoods. Can we expect, give your opinions or observations type questions in options? Acha. Specifically for, okay, Vaibhav, see, specifically for animals and birds, we can't expect a question in mains, but yes, the question can be, what has been the impact of COVID or lockdowns on the on environment altogether? And there are already research papers published on the impact of earthquakes, impact of COVID and lockdowns. One of the research papers says that due to lockdown, aerosol concentration in air has been less, right? Because the carbon dioxide emission was less, fuel was less used, evaporites were less, so aerosol reduced, cloud formation has been lesser, and that's why intensity of solar radiations is more, because cloud formation is less due to less aerosols present in air, and that has led to some effects. Like if you remember last year in 2020, there was Nisarg, there's this cyclone, there was a lot of cyclones in Bay of Bengal also. So the intensity increased because of less aerosols and less cloud formation. This has been one. Second thing, it was observed that yes, due to lockdowns, some species have started recovering on their own, because the climate has started reversing. Not to a great extent, but some extent. Industrial effluents will reduce. Like it was also seen in the turtles, olive ridley turtles in Mumbai. So we can always affect this question, effect of lockdowns on climate, disasters, and also on the overall general idea about what has been the effect of this. So yes, some species started recovering. So this type of question is expected always in your exam. So I've joined general studies match in IQRA IAS of online batches. How much is the amount? Will necessary, please inform me. How many amount will be necessary? So a Krumul Haq, you joined for general studies batch in IQRA, and then how many amounts? So please, what amount are you actually referring to? You can ask that. You can be straightforward, so we can let you know. You'll get an answer for this. Okay, so we were discussing this type of questions again. Yes, this is the type of questions that can be asked, that are possible, that what has been the influence. So this is also one of the way to explain certain things. This is also one of the example. If the human interference is reduced, the earth, some species may recover, like especially corals, especially olive ridley turtles, or some other species also. But asking this question that animals came on the road and so on, I don't think such questions will be asked. Overall effect of COVID can be asked. right? So if you have any further question related to optionals, please put through, or questions related to geography you can ask here, because this is a specifically doubt session for the geography and geography options. You can go through these questions. Okay, last year we were question was asked on the regional disparity, and can this year also be expect given the hardship faced by laborers? See, number one, disparity is that question was asked not only because of the COVID or anything like the pandemic only. This question has always been there in the discussion, right? It has always been asked about the disparity of faced by the the kind of economic system that we have, the kind of policies that are put in place, resource distribution. So disparity is always a topic. If you are a geography optional student, so you would find that there is a question, there is a specific topic mentioned in your syllabus about the disparity, regional disparity. Typical question, regional disparity. And this regional disparity starts with the climatic disparity also. It starts with the geography, like the physical setting also. Like we cannot expect the easy road construction in Himalayas because of the tough terrain, because of the geography. You have more disasters and more climatic hazards, natural hazards in Himalayas than compared to the rest of the regions. Right? This is out of this is very much known. So disparity will be asked. Otherwise, a question. Yes, hardships were faced. This kind of exposed the unorganized sector in India. Like most of the labor is associated with the unorganized sector. The last year situations are lockdowns exposed that the vulnerability of laborers to the any instability across the world. Any instability will always have an effect on the low income groups, low laborers, or overall those daily wages we're talking about. And if you read your sustainable development goals properly, like if those 17 sustainable development goals, where we focus on vulnerability also, that or the disaster risk management Sendai framework, that we should focus more on the reducing the vulnerability, reducing disparity. This is one of the target of the sustainable development goals. So yes, and this is a part of questions which is expected this year also, not based directly on the vulnerability, but what has been the effect on the migration of labor, right? How important. Okay, the Ayush next question is, write a short note on difference between normal cycle and arid cycle of Davis. What is the normal cycle? What is a okay. Ayush, see what if you have gone through the classes properly, you would find that we discussed that normal cycle of erosion is considered to be the fluvial cycle of erosion. There's a discussion that we have had on the normal cycle of erosion when the landform go from youthful stage to mature stage and the old stage. Then that is called as normal cycle of erosion, right? Which occurs in the subhumid and humid areas, because Davis, for him, the fluvial process is the most common type of erosion or process. So the normal cycle of erosion is basically the fluvial process of erosion. So this is what is meant by. The second part was arid cycle of erosion, and you read when you start the arid cycle of erosion, it said that Davis considered arid cycle of erosion as a special case of fluvial process, right, where he considered the initial stage, youthful stage, mature stage and old stage. And even in the arid cycle of erosion, which was given by Davis, he emphasizes on one point. He says that the initial phase is the longest phase, and the erosional process or erosional cycle will start with heavy occasional rainfall. Occasional heavy rainfall. We know that in deserts and semi-arid areas, in arid regions, the rainfall is not regular, rainfall is occasional. And he starts his cycle of erosion from there. That was a youthful stage and then goes to mature stage and so on. The mountains are reduced to Inselbergs, Bonhards, Kopis, and then peneplains are rather, according to him, the peneplains are formed. So it is the arid cycle. In arid cycle of erosion also he brings in the fluvial cycle. But the difference here is it's irregular, it's not continuous. So he gives rise that he gives an explanation that interflues keep on reducing. So interflues will become basins will later join and so on. Whereas in the normal cycle of erosion, nothing of that sort. It goes from youthful stage to mature stage and old stage, and then peneplanation is the last stage of the normal cycle as per Davis. So this is the difference between arid and the normal cycle of erosion. So when you ask what is normal cycle of erosion, read that statement. It has mentioned that Davis considers fluvial cycle of erosion as a normal cycle of erosion, because for him the universal agent of erosion is water, right? Okay, so Ayush, I hope you got the question that what do we mean by normal cycle of erosion. So read the fluvial process, and if you have confusion, where the Davison cycle or the cycle of erosion chapter is ending with the Penck cycle, next page if you open up, there is a chapter on the discussion on normal cycle, and you will find it very simple. It's not difficult compared to the other cycles of erosion. So this is normal cycle of erosion, and then they also undergo the rejuvenation, whereas arid cycle there is no case of rejuvenation mentioned by Davis. So they enter to the second stage of cycle of erosion, where the V-in-V topography is formed, terraces, where river terraces are formed, meanders are formed, incised meanders, entrenched meanders, ingrown meanders are formed. So you can read through that. It's easy. Right. So these are some of the aspects. Okay. So Ayush, I hope you got the answer for this. You would face, for all of you, you would face this difficulty in geomorphology, because it's a very wide topic. So you have to be continuously reading this topic, right? So it's very wide. All right then. So you can continue asking questions if it is there. So anyways, we have, as I said earlier, already done with the first aspect of the batch, and then the next is on 27th of April. You're all invited, right, to join. So if no further questions are there, I wish you good luck, and all those who are taking optionals, see, you have few more days to go through optionals, and then you should focus on prelims, of course. So you should divide your time effectively, and that is why it is on weekends only. It is not a regular. So for weekends, 3 to 4 hours you should dedicate to optionals, and rest time you should focus on prelims, because it's the entry gate for your exam. So focus on that, and allot some time for optionals, like weekends, 3 to 4 hours after the class. You can continue reading it, so that it doesn't get hampered, and afterwards you focus only on the this mains part. Once you're done with the prelims part, then it will be regular classes from July onwards, so that you can get the pace. Wave oscillation and wave translation, please. See, translation is the transfer of energy. When we talk about wave oscillation, I hope you mean about the sea waves. What happens in the sea waves is basically there are two forces which are acting. One is the prevailing wind, or the force that is creating swash, that is carrying water towards the coast, and another is because of the cohesion of water comes back to the sea. So there is a balancing act also. So this forms oscillatory movement on water, forming crest and trough. But when we talk about translation, it is actually the transfer of energy, right? Wave is a disturbance that carries the energy from one region to another, and waves, especially the sea waves, are outcome of multiple factors, which would include the balancing act between earth and the moon. Volcanism can create waves, prevailing winds can create waves, tsunamis are also type of waves only. So the up and down movement or the crest and trough formation of water will form waves. Okay, so see, if you get a question on Penck's cycle of erosion, do something. You have to remember these terms. You can also write stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and move on. But still I would say that if you can remember ethnic lung, you can remember some primer rumph, you can remember enema rumph, these terms, that gives the more authentic way of writing answers. So language should not be missed for any subject for that matter. So yes, I know that Penck cycle, that he has used many many German terms, but the concept is not confusing. Concept goes smoothly elaborated, except for one reason, that why does relative relief remain constant in the stage 2? That is only one of the confusion that we can see from the conceptual point of view. So why relative relief remains constant in these stages, phase A, phase B, phase C? This is one such confusion, although he has tried to explain that the rate of down cutting is equal to the rate of offlet and so on. That's why RR remains constant. But still, how does it remain constant in all the three phases, phase A, phase B, phase C, is a conceptual problem in the Penck cycle, which is little difficult to understand. Otherwise, it's all the same, like not much of the difficulty. Yes, for German words, I would say that you write it down on a piece of paper and look at that for 2-3 days, and you would start remembering. So do something, you remember these terms. I don't want like you write stage 1, stage 2, and it will not take much effort. So it is better that you write these terms which were originally given by Penck. Nitin Sharma, what should class 12 student do for UPSC CSE? See, Nitin, 12th standard student should focus on 12th, should focus on college, and thoroughly. That is the main goal, right? You should focus on 12th very thoroughly. You should focus on your college properly, because after all, what are we suggesting? Like if you've attended seminars and you've attended our sessions, in every session we are saying just one thing: NCERTs, right? So you are in 12th standard, read your NCERTs carefully, whichever subject you have chosen, and once you get through, get free from the boards and others, spend some time and read your textbook thoroughly. Whatever is your school textbook, whatever is your college textbooks, read them thoroughly. After all, we are also suggesting the same thing. Make sure that you develop the habit of reading newspapers, not from the gadgets or phones or something. COVID precautions are there, so you don't use these newspapers or these days. But then otherwise also, I'm saying that you should develop the habit of reading newspapers. The Standard is Hindu, the Indian Express. It will take some time for you, and it takes time for everyone to actually get used to the Hindu and the Indian Express. So take out some time, like 2 hours in a day, or at least 2 hours in a day for newspaper reading. And on weekends, read NCERTs or general books. Take out 6th standard NCERT. For history, suppose 8th standard NCERT, and then 9th standard NCERT, then 10th standard NCERT, then 12th standard NCERT on weekends. By the time you read prelims, you take your first attempt, you should be thorough with your NCERTs at least 3 to 4 times. That should be your target. That in 1 year I have to complete 1 cycle of reading NCERTs at least, or 2 cycles of reading NCERTs. Then second year also of college, you should complete 2 to 3 times. And I know that it will be temptation would be to read more, read some other book. How many times you should read NCERTs? But the maturity is that you read 10 books one time, you don't get much. But when you read one book 10 times, you start getting insight. So it's better to read one book 10 times rather than reading 10 books. Had it been a research-based exam, or you had to write for some newspapers or novels, then you can read and get some essence and move. Here you have to think, you have to analyze. So reading one book many times is more important. Only then you develop that insight. And second time when you read, you feel that I missed it for the first time. Third time you read, you feel that I missed this in the second time reading. So each time you read, you will feel that I have missed some part of it. And once you've completed these 2-year cycle of reading NCERTs, then you can switch over to some other books towards the last session of your college or last year of your college, without compromising on college and school studies. That is very, very important, because after all, they are going to help in your exam only. And then you can jump onto the higher level, because your base is very, very strong. And third year of college, you can take out the books like the standard reference book. You can get it from our websites for different, different books. And then you can take test series and, continue with the preparation. So this is how I would suggest, along with our sessions like that we are taking. Yes, Nitin, you should start with NCERT, but most elementary, like 8th standard NCERT or 6th standard NCERT and newspapers. And just 2 hours per day, and weekend you can spend some 3-4 hours. Emmanuel, Ikramul, this is, you have doubts on Air Masters classifications, how to discuss it. So, okay, fine, we'll discuss that. And then Nitin Sharma means I should start with NCERTs and newspapers. Yes, you should start with NCERTs and newspapers. And there is, you can always join this one simple program, that is a crash course program. You can always have a go through this. What are the topics, which are the syllabus, how to approach the syllabus, what are the different aspects that we can look at, just to see for yourself. Right? If you take that crash course, you would get an idea. Like, so we have a crash course running. You can also join in that and see whether if you like it or not. If you like it, you find the basis, you can continue with that. So we will be there for you, like all the 3 years of your preparation, so that when you come out of the college, just have to take test series, get some polishing and take the exam. Right? So, okay, I have a doubt on Air Masters and classification, how to discuss it. Okay. See, you have a doubt on Air Masters classification. I'll just give you, for any classification, you should understand the criteria of classification. On what criteria do we divide, or why do we divide a region? Why do we divide anything? So, the criteria for Air Mass to divide can be air is present in poles, air is present in tropics. So, one of the criteria can be whether it's tropical or polar. I'm not saying that it is not present at equator or temperate or tropical. Even then we call it as, so latitudinal classification can be one. Then air is only 2 ways here, based on temperature. Either it's hot or it's cooler. So, temperature is higher or temperature is lesser. So, warm air mass or cold air mass. And whenever we refer warm or cold, high or low, it's always relative. It's warmer, it's colder, it's higher, it's lower with the average temperature. So, it is more than the average temperature of a latitude, warm air mass. It is lesser than that, cold air mass. Then you see on the surface of Earth, there are only 2 aspects. Either there is continent or there is ocean. Either there is continent or there is water. Land and water, that's all. So, if an air is present on the continents, continental air mass. If it is on the water body, it is maritime air mass. Now, in the polar areas, it can be continental air mass or it can be oceanic air mass or maritime air mass. It cannot be both continent and oceanic. It can either be continental or it can be maritime. It cannot be both tropical and polar. It can be either tropical or polar. So, you would see latitude, you would see temperature, you would see the source where it is formed, and then you would see either it will cause rainfall or does not cause rainfall. So, if it causes rainfall, it is unstable. If it does not cause rainfall, it's stable. That is how the criteria is done, and based on that you can classify air masses. So, it's more of a common sense that we'll apply here. So, then is Can I get easier explanation on Harry Hess seafloor spreading theory? See, first of all, Shubham, there is actually seafloor spreading was not a theory, right? It was a discovery. Theories developed on seafloor spreading as an evidence. To explain seafloor spreading, the plate tectonics comes into existence. So first of all, understand that seafloor was a discovery by Harry Hess, 1960. And why was it? So bring in paleomagnetism and so on. So you understand what was seafloor spreading. And this is very well mentioned in 11th standard NCERT if you can go through, or rather I would suggest P. Dayal for this. If you want a source, if you are a geography optional student, then P. Dayal's geomorphology, book on geomorphology has a very good explanation on seafloor spreading. There is a chapter on that. And while giving the reason of seafloor spreading, we reached up to plate tectonics, because if there is a divergence and magma comes on the surface, then there will be convergence at the other end and so on. So the process of plate tectonics goes there. So read that chapter once from P. Dayal, you would get the clear understanding. And if you are a GS student, for GS only NCERTs will be enough, nothing more than that. Can there be question exam like mix of geography of a region with its history? Nandu Sayankar, Nandu Sayankar. Can there be question in exam like mix of geography of a region with its history? Of course there can be. You know, it reminds me of a very famous quote by Herodotus, who is called as father of history. He said, all geography must be read historically and all history must be read geographically. Right? The statement was like, the second part was first, that all history must be read geographically and all geography must be read historically. Now when you interpret this, see, any historical event like wars, movements, travels, anything, invasions, there is a geographical account to it. Why did only Dutch, Portuguese, British or French explore the world? Why not people from Hungary or Poland or Russia? Why they traveled across the world? When we talk about the advent of Europeans, why only these 3-4 countries? Primarily they were like, the Dutch, Britishers, French, to some extent Portuguese and Spanish, because they had a very favorable climatic conditions to navigate. Ports were free from ice. There's a geographical reason, warm ocean current and so on. Free ice ports. So navigation was possible. The same is not case with the Siberia. The same is not case with the Russia. Why did industrial revolution only take place in UK and why not in other parts? Why not in India? India has been science and technology. Today we are glorifying India's past with that we were great scientists and great scholars and etc. etc. Yes, no doubt we were. But why did industrial revolution then start in UK and not India? Because in the Precambrian rocks of UK, coal was discovered. Secondly, steam engine was invented there. Now you have a fuel that is calorific value is very high compared to wood. So it can generate more energy, and steam engine is there to convert that energy into mechanical work with more efficiency. So revolution started in UK. But then the second geographical question comes, do they have enough resources? No, they don't have much coal resources, only in Precambrian rocks and some bits and pieces. So they need to look after for resources in different parts. And they had heard that ancient texts of Greeks glorify India, no doubt about it. India, Africa, many other regions. So they started in the search of India. Columbus found America and called it as India. Some people moved towards east. So this is how exploration started. Geographical accounted. So you cannot discard geography from the historical explanations. There is an important aspect related to that. So you can go in the ancient past also. Lot of explanations is that. I don't want to get into that. It will be too elaborate then. So, but this is how it happened. Why not the Eastern European countries? Because climatic conditions is too harsh. Very cold climatic conditions. Landlocked. So landlocked people would be more conservative, would be more closed. The regions which have more, water bodies or more navigation, you find open societies in the sense that the mixing takes place, mixing of culture. So cultural dilution can happen, or cultural assimilation, however you want to put it, that happens. So diversification will be there. And look at geography. If you are a geography option student or otherwise also, see, we could not find the cycle of erosion unless we could find the historical account of Earth. We could not find the Himalayan formation unless there was fossil formation and unless fossils were found. So there is an historical element also associated with geography. Now it depends upon your thoughts, it depends upon your intellect, how well do you connect these topics. So both are connected, in fact other subjects are also connected. So that is the ultimate goal of our classes, that you start interrelating things. You feel that, okay, geography is connected to history, is connected to economy, is connected to polity, is connected to the international relations, is connected to everywhere. So the interconnection is what is required. That is what our main target is, to make you think. So if we make you think and relate things, easy, right? So that is of course there. Then okay. So Ayush, okay. Paper 2, all toppers talk who have cleared May exam with geo optional, that paper 2 fetches more marks. Should be true. Paper 2 fetches more marks, but if you go to the the second question, web how, is the paper 2, mostly we are focused on current affairs and news and so on. In paper 2, should we focus more on the year's mains question papers? Okay, both questions are related, so I'm just taking both of them. When you talk about paper 2 fetching more marks, during our times, if you go like say 5-6 years back or maybe 10 years back, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10 till 13, paper 1 was fetching more marks than paper 2. Geography paper 1 was fetching more marks than geography paper 2. What has happened in paper 1, that it has become very technical is not a correct term, it's very deep, especially in geomorphology. Like nobody would have thought that pseudo-volcanic landforms can be asked, although some of them predicted pseudo-volcanic landform, but then not to an extent that we can write comfortably 200 words on pseudo-volcanic landforms. Right? So they were unexpected or less expected questions that were asked in UPSC, and which American School of Thoughts, the contribution of American School of Thoughts in geomorphology. We study Gilbert's law, we study base level given by J.W. Powell, we study W.M. Davis, but to relate all of them and making like how geographical school of thoughts developed and all that, if you read the first introduction chapter of P. Dayal or Savinder Singh, you get American School of Thoughts, European School of Thoughts. But we read it so fast that writing answers and framing answers would be difficult. That is the reason why paper 1 people got less marks in paper 1. But still I believe that paper 1 has more chance, like you can score better in geography optional paper 1 than in paper 2, because questions are straightforward, answers need to be straightforward, you get relatively better marks. But what to do? You need to read more. You need to read in depth to get more marks in paper 1. So far as paper 2 is concerned, yes, it is largely based on the general studies and current events, except for 1 or 2 topics. If I say exclude like the physiography of India or climate or agriculture. Now, what are the topics? International relations of India, industries of India, social aspects of India. So that would require a very in-depth current aspect, right? You need to read current affairs, you need to read update your information. And when you're writing answer for paper 2, the key is when you're writing answer for paper 2, you have to incorporate the theories for paper 1. For example, if you're writing answer on agriculture, just go back and think in your exam that what theory can be related. There are theories like Von Thunen theory is there, then there are a few more theories for agriculture location model, or for that matter the profitability curve. Can we add that theory in agriculture somewhere? This is the key. If you're talking about settlements of India and you're writing about slum problems or anything, like suppose we're talking about the industrial smart city concept, or the concepts of city development in India, or something of that sort, you get the question. Just go back to the settlement, think that have we studied any theory, any concept related to the city planning. So you get a lot of concepts. You start rank size rule, you start developing the concept of maximum utility principle, something of that sort. So you incorporate those points here. Because question is, a lot of people ask this question at times, that how do we make it geography answer? Because it is same as that of general studies. If a question is asked on Act East policy of India, this was question asked in paper general studies as well as optional paper 2. How do we incorporate this Act East policy? You need to add some geographical account to it. For example, geographical aspect to it. Right? I mean, you should know the mountain ranges, Arakan, Yoma, you should know the water bodies, you should know the places from where the connectivity is taking place. So when we talk about connectivity in Northeast or Southeast Asia, so what are the other geographical hurdles or geographical problems that come in between? Other than the political aspect, of course. So this is how you can make it more productive, and that is why paper 2 is fetching more marks than paper 1, because paper 1 is getting little tough and little in depth. So a lot of people are like hands up at times, but still if you read more, if you read in depth, you can still get very good marks in paper 1. I know people who have scored almost 148 in paper 1, which is a fairly very good score, and something around 162 in paper 2. So they've got very good marks. So you can still improve on this. So yes, you should focus on the current events, but also incorporating geographical account to it. Akrimul Haq discuss possibilism and determinism concept. See, it's too big concept to be discussed in doubt session, and we still haven't taken the geographical thoughts topic. It will be followed. Like you will be getting geographical thoughts classes separately. We have not just yet reached there. But since you have asked question, this is something like, see, if the technology is not well developed, like we are talking about the cultural development at a very initial stage, incipient stage, 500 BC, let's go to that point. Greeks, they believe that everything man does is guided by nature, whether it's the body structure of man, or it is the economic activities practiced by man. Everything is guided, everything is determined by nature. Arabs, staunch determinists. You can start from the great scholars of Khalif al-Umar, then Ibn Sina, Ibn Battuta, or before that we had this the travelers Al-Biruni, Al-Masudi, Ibn Khaldun. All of them talked about nature being an important determinant of human activities, and in nature, climate being a determinist. So they were also called as climatic determinists. Then you would see Europeans also, some Germans also supporting determinism. Right? So supporting determinism. That is, that the thought was shaped in this way, that everything that man does is because of the natural conditions. Even in the modern phase, you would find Huntington talking about, in Pulse of Asia, talking about man's nature like he went on saying a lot of things about people living in tropical areas, people living in humid areas. Semple, the great statement, man is child of nature, playing in the lap, dust of our dust. Nature has guided emotions in human beings, tested with or strengthened his muscles with elevations and difficulties and so on. So that is where we say deterministic viewpoint, where the geographers believe that everything man does and everything is controlled by nature. Nature is supreme. But at the same time, you see, Africa, this is true for Africa because Sahara, this is true for Arabia in the past. But today, one of the largest construction is going on in Arabia, like whether it's Ras Tanura, whether it's Riyadh, whether it's in UAE. One of the largest construction work is going on there. There was a time when we believed that temperature is so high, it is not good for or habitable for humans, but today a lot of habitation is going on. As the cultural development took place, the advent of science and technology, man started changing his milieu, changing his surrounding. Right? Vidal de Lablache, that French school of thoughts, the father of, you can say, possibilism, he said that the man can change his milieu. The moment we say man can change his milieu, man can change his surrounding, this means possibilistic viewpoint, which is dependent upon the cultural development. We can't expect Maasais to change their milieu, but Europeans have done it. People in Arabia have done it. Russians have done it. So change, that is called as possibilistic viewpoint. There are controversies that no, man is just like a traffic controller, cannot change. So there's neo-determinism, challenging the possibilistic viewpoint. Then there is positivism challenging the neo-deterministic viewpoint, and the philosophy goes like on this. So I've given the shortest way of explaining possibilism and determinism to you. So if you have a question, you can further ask. A revision strategy as weekly revision plan is not working. So more we read, more we forget, and it is fueling anxiety. There is only one problem in your question. I just remove one thing, everything is normal. Remove anxiety. Rest is normal. Revision strategies fail, weekly strategies fail. No problems. We forget things because we are humans. We are not computer chips. We are not memory cards. It's memory. So we are bound to forget things here. Don't worry about it. What will happen if you are getting anxious? After some time, you would probably leave reading because there's a amount of there's a limit up to which tension can be, this anxiety can be held. So if the tension is too much, you can't read it, you won't read it. So remove that. See, just one thing. I won't give you any strategy right now because it's too less time for any strategy. Only one point that I will tell you. You have to trust the topics that you have read, material that you have read, the study material that you have gone through. You have to trust that. Trust yourself, right? And make sure that whatever you have studied in 1 year, right? Whatever you have studied in 1 year, right? You revise that. You repeat that in next 40-45 days. Make sure that you read it 2 times. At least it should pass through your visual memory at least 2 to 3 times. Ignore everything. It's the war. It's not a preparation of. You are going for a war now. Ready. So don't have any kind of doubts in mind. I'll tell you second point that helped me in prelims. I was also very scared during my times. I have seen a lot of people getting anxious and you get sleepless nights, you feel problems. And whether it's today's pandemic or anything, only confidence can save you. Whether it's from this pandemic or from other. Confidence within yourself, your body. You have to trust your body, your immunity. Right? Our body has come through a lot of problems throughout life, right from the birth. Right? We have taken this body has taken birth from no oxygen. Right? It has come to the life we didn't know how to breathe, but it started breathing. Right? We didn't know how to eat, but we started eating. So similarly, that is the way you trust your body, it will help you to fight against whatever is coming. Trust your mind, trust your knowledge. And believe me, one thing, when I went into prelims with a lot of anxiety, I thought, what will I'll collapse. Or one of my friend who finally got selected, he got his ACP in Arunachal Pradesh. That was his third attempt. It was second attempt for me. In fact, that was his fourth attempt, last attempt. He did not clear prelims for 3 attempts. Fourth attempt, he goes to the exam, and he is not exactly my friend. He was my roommate, and then he was a senior of mine. And I owe a lot of geography concepts to him. He has taught geography to me. To many concepts he cleared. And he was very relaxed. So I asked him, how can you be relaxed? It is your last attempt. Those days we had only 4 attempts. So he said, see, if you're going in exam, you're prepared thoroughly, you've read everything. I'm talking about just before entering the exam. If it is tough for you, it is tougher for everyone. If you've studied thoroughly, you've prepared religiously, if it is tough for you, it is tougher for the other person. I don't know, these words work like magic for me. We both cleared prelims. Finally, he went on to get through this attempt. In his last attempt, he got 93rd or 97th rank. I'm talking about 2007 or 8. So, that one word, if it is tough for me, it will be tougher for the other person. Same thing I'll tell to all of you. You prepare very well. It's not an easy for you. It's not an easy task for you. It's a tough task. But then if it is tough for you, it is tougher for the other. Go with such kind of confidence, you will clear that prelims. Don't worry about it. And anxiety has no space in humans. Right? Throw that out. If we did not have mind, we did not have anxiety. If we did not have anxiety, we could have probably been an animal. It is mind. That is why we are getting anxious, but we are overthinking it. Just control that. Meditate a bit. Believe that it's only humans who are writing this exam. Clear? So don't worry, you should get through. Right? So that is it, and it's very odd, very normal to feel this way. To all of you, those who are taking prelims this time, very good. You keep on working hard, and I wish you good luck that all of you write mains this year and all of you get through by next year. Right? All of you should be in the final list, and keep preparing. And geography options will run in the way they are running. Right? The next batch, 27th of April. And then let's see how well do we do, how well we are able to connect to you. Right? So have a good time. Best of luck. See you next time. Thank you.